Don't feed your fears. You may have heard this many times in some form or another. I know I have through the teachings that I've studied. Don't feed the fears. Don't feed fear. Don't keep it. Don't keep perpetuating this fear cycle. Right? How do you feed fear? Well, I can tell you how not to feed fear. To be present is to not feed fear. When you're present and you're here in this moment, you'll notice fear and the mind, right, kind of stops, or at least goes into the background, like it becomes background noise, versus it being the primary key front person, lead singer, the key voice you're hearing is the mind, right? In some cases, and that's perpetuating fear. The mind might say, you are, the future is dangerous and the past is scary, and let's make this better. So how do you stop feeding fear? In the present moment, there is no past, there is no future. Isn't that interesting? So what could the mind feed on? What could the mind feed on for fear purposes? What could it draw from in the present moment? There's not much, if anything, that I can find that it can find to yell at you about. Whoa, 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 don't do this, don't do that. No, you're in the present moment. You're in the zone. You ever been in the zone? This could be with a loved one. It could be in any act of a sport or an activity. What fear is there then? I'm going to venture a guess and say not much, if any. I know that by experience, right? I'm not telling you this in some BS way. I've experienced it, and you're lost in it. In fact, right now, as I speak to you, I'm lost in it, and that's good. Jeff is lost, right? The mind, Jeff, the ego, the character that is Jeff, who is not, fully responsible for speaking these words. Trust me, is out of the way, right? And it creeps in, and something funny. Sometimes I'm speaking here on camera, and a thought pops in, and it's very distracting, right? And there, I have to let it go. It's a great practice because the flow of what's coming out of this conversation about letting go of fear and how to stop, feeding it is only going to come if I'm present with you now, not if I'm somewhere else. If I'm thinking about what's happening at work today or otherwise some client at the work, that's not going to come out right. So being present now, it's funny. I do all these videos and I talk about being in the zone. This is my zone, right? There's other things that bring me there, but this is the primary, in terms of activities in life. So I'm speaking to you now from that zone. It's true. It's almost like, I dare to say, it's almost like it's a high, right? Some of us have tried a variety of substances in youth and even generally speaking now, whatever. And that feeling that you chase, right, is that high feeling. I can tell you from experience on both ends, this is the same exact feeling, but better. There's no substance behind it. It's just that feeling that, it's a head rush. It's that tingle. It's all those things that you're looking for in a high, right? And you're chasing and using the substances. And so the addiction to these substances comes because you want to feel that all the time, right? And you want to push down that voice of pain and agony and fear, and that squashes it, right? The alcohol, the drugs will squash that feeling. But when you find what it is you love to do, you know, Fred Davis, a great teacher, Awakening Clarity Now, was an addict. He says it openly. He was homeless. He was in a mental institution. He went to the institution. He had a lot of problems, right? And he said, everyone who's an addict, coming from an addict, I was never an addict, coming from an addict teacher, said, everyone who's an addict is seeking the same thing. The only thing, the one thing that fills them up, the void, the drugs won't fill it, is only what you love to do. And when I speak to you, I hope you see that I mean this, right? I'm not saying, this is not being said for any reason, but I want you to see it here firsthand, that this is the truth. So how do you stop feeding the fear? Get present in this moment, right? Do what you love and the fear will fade away. And what's stopping you from doing what you love? You might know what you love, you might not. So, and that's a beautiful process too, to find what that is and trying new things through action, always action, doing. So look at it this way. Fear will dissipate when you're doing what you love. In my case, that's the truth. And that means you're present in the moment. So doing what I love makes me present in this moment. And it's funny, I just heard, you hear footsteps like when kids might be waking up, it's very early in the morning. And that's a distraction perhaps. But when that comes in, I can come right back because I know that the mind wants me to look that way, look this way. It's like a laser pointer for a cat. You ever try? It's mean, I guess. Or maybe it's not. Maybe I like it. But I've seen the videos where, in the movie Pets, for example, where the cats are chasing the laser pointers. And that's the key, the distraction, the fear, right? The social media feed, the news feed, fear, 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 be scared, be terrified. Because I'm thinking, oh man, I might die from that, or that might happen, or man, the past was scary. They might even look back on a bad event. The news looks back on an event in the history, and it brings you back to that moment of fear. And all of a sudden, you're in the past and present and fearing, your future fearing, and you're just in fear. So when you're in the zone, maybe it's sewing, maybe it's tennis, maybe it's golf, maybe it's talking to people, maybe it's lecturing, maybe it's teaching, whatever it is, find that, do action, try everything you can, within reason, for you. Maybe it means try everything. Maybe it means try everything except for a few things that might be troubling for you. Either way, I want to say I love you all and thank you for joining me as always. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.